if somebody's going through where I was at, I would tell them that the Lord, once you accept the Lord, the weight is just completely lifted off your shoulders. Everything becomes easier. Everything. It's easier to love. It's easier to give forgiveness. It's easier just to live life the way you feel about yourself. The alcohol and the women are not gonna fix that. There's one thing that'll fix that, and that's accepting Jesus. I grew up going to church. Raised in a Christian family. My mom is a very strong Christian. And teenage years were rough. I was very ornery, in a lot of trouble. Didn't get very good grades. Just wasn't a very good example of a kid, you know. Then late teens, got into the drinking and the drugs, and went sins of the flesh, and that got pretty bad through my 20s, you know. I mean, and then got into the just anybody would say anything to me, I would have fought a grizzly bear, you know. Just the sheer rage that I had back then was almost scared myself, you know. It was pretty bad. That went on for several years, you know, up into my mid-20s, and I, you know, started to settle down a little bit. Never even thought about going to church. We went on Christmas with the family and things like that. Just never really gave it any thought. And I was actually engaged, and we were out eating one night at the Alex house and met my wife. And there was something there, but I was still living the way I shouldn't have been, you know, drinking too much, a lot of marijuana. Things happened. She was actually married and pregnant the first time I met her, you know, and had a kid. My engagement broke up, and I was actually on a date with a girl one night, and she was our waitress, and she said, you need to get a hold of me.
To learn with his fiance, and so then I kind of got my mind thinking, because I had filed for divorce. I was in a very abusive, physically and emotionally abusive relationship. So from there, we ended up reconnecting after our things had settled. Mike and I had met, and we had strong feelings for each other. But I came with 2 blessings, and that's a lot. And he wasn't sure if he was ready for that, so we kind of cooled things for a little bit. And we were separated for about a year. And this is a true story. I prayed for him every single day, even though I dated other people. So did he, because I knew his heart. And I just had this feeling. So, but that's another story. But so then we came back around. He actually saw that I was dating someone else, and then he kind of thought, like, wait a second, I thought she'd just be waiting around for when I was ready to settle down.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
We decided to get married, and again, we had, you know, our ups and downs. But I told him once we got married, we started going back to church right before that. And we had to do some marriage counseling, and, you know, we had to do some deep questions. But before I signed up for that, because of what I've been through, I told him, I was like, I need to know where your heart is.
I knew she was the one. I'm telling you, the day I watched It was so cold out, I'll never remember it. I was watching God's Not Dead, that movie, and oh my goodness. I mean, that moved me more than anything else it has to turn back to the Word and, you know, start accepting Jesus in my life. It was amazing. I mean, when that was over, I just stood there and I was like, Lord, please forgive me for what I've done. You know, everything that I did in the past just came back in that moment, and I looked around me and all the blessings that I had. You know, man, I don't deserve it. There's no way I deserve all this that I'm blessed with now. You know, kind of went from there, and you know, in this whole journey, I mean, I've still got a long way to go in my faith. I'm not to the level that my wife is, but I'm striving for it. You know, it is a journey. That's why they call it your journey, your story. I mean, I've still got a long way to go. When a baptism happens to even not so much a stranger, because you pretty much know everybody in church, but baptisms are just a joyous moment that emotions just run wild. I mean, if that's not testament that Jesus is real, I mean, what